Hey guys, PokéDan here. In the Pokemon franchise, there have been quite a few characters designed to give you a tough battle, and some of them I personally stormed through, but others really held me back. And in fact, those trainers are the ones who I'll be highlighting in this video, because today you guys join me to count down my top 5 most difficult battles in Pokemon. Before we get started, I'm only putting characters on the list who you battle in the mainstream Pokemon games. So no side games this time round, that's a list for a future video. Also guys, take a note that we don't share the same experiences playing the Pokemon games, so someone I struggle battling against may just be a character you beat easily. So if that is the case, be sure to let me know in the comments who you found it hard to battle against. But I guess with all that being said, let's get started. Okay, so kicking off the list is the most recent boss battle from the Sun and Moon games, being Lusamine. Throughout the Sun and Moon games, Lusamine was a character I just loved, even when she was being an evil psychopath. But let me tell you guys, for me, the evil psycho gave me one super tough battle. The battle I'm talking about is when you face off against Lusamine for the final time in Ultra Space. Lusamine just had some really strong Pokemon. Her team for me was rather tedious to face. Some of the Pokemon she had just took hit after hit and used moves like Pain Split or Stun Spore to hold me back. Most of the Pokemon owned by Lusamine reminded me of Pokemon Osimitsu would use, just super annoying to battle against, and in fact I even had to rematch Lusamine after her defeating me the first time. Lusamine's final battle wasn't an easy one for me, so I had to give it a mention on this list. Next up on the list is a Pokemon that's infamous for giving you a difficult fight. It's Whitneys Miltank. There has been hundreds, no, thousands of memes about this Pokemon and about how hard it is to take down. Whitneys Miltank will forever go down in Pokemon history for being a tough opponent. For me personally, I chose Cynthia, and at the time of battling Whitney, I had a strong Quilava, a Pokemon I was really confident would win. But little did I know that Whitneys Miltank had some horrible moves. Whitneys Miltank was female, and it had Attract, and I firmly remember my Quilava always falling in love with this cow and then getting killed by Rollout. Same with the rest of my team actually. I kid you not, it took me at least 10 times to beat Whitney, and when I beat her, she cried. Pretty funny considering how Whitney and her Miltank made so many children cry. This was just a horrible battle, but once I won, I was out of that gym. Whitney's Miltank just had to be on this list. In at the number 3 spot on this list is the Gen 5 bad guy Ghetsis. Out of all the villains in Pokemon, in my opinion, Ghetsis has to be one of the most evil, and he also happens to be one of the hardest villains to win against in battle too. After beating the Univers Elite Four, which is by the way a tough Elite Four to beat, you then have to go to End's Castle instead of versing the champion, and that's where you have the final battle of the main story, and it's against Ghetsis. Ghetsis had some really strong Pokemon on his team like his Seismitoad and Hydreigon, and he just had something on his team for any one of the Pokemon you sent out. I personally really struggled against Ghetsis' team and had to rebattle him quite a few times to get my win. Ghetsis just had a super strong team and it wasn't an easy battle at all. I'd say Ghetsis even had a stronger team than Alder, the champion, and I hated battling Ghetsis. After finally getting the win, Ghetsis was all done with, but he more than deserved to be mentioned on this list. Coming in the number 2 spot on this list is the battle against Red in the Gen 2 games and the Gen 2 remakes. But I'm going to be talking about Red from the remakes because that's how I battled Red and got absolutely wrecked. The first time I went to Mount Silver and saw Red, I battled him and for sure didn't expect his Pokemon to be so highly leveled. So fair to say, I lost to Red. I didn't even save the game in front of him just in case I lost the battle, because when I battled Red, I was at a young age not knowing to do that. Every time I went back back to battle Red, I'd hope I would win each time going back with higher level Pokemon, but I just kept losing to him. It got to the point where my team was almost but not quite the same level as Red's team, and my friend at school told me to save the game in front of him. And then if I lost, I could just turn my DS off and then load it back up and I'd be ready to fight Red again. So I kept losing, but after what was probably my 10th battle with Red, I finally got my win. This was a very annoying battle for me, but there is a trainer that was even worse for me to battle against. And the most difficult Pokemon trainer I've ever faced in the Pokemon franchise was all my battles against Cynthia in Pokemon Platinum. Of course, I say all because it's not like I beat her the first time round. Nope, it took me at least 15 attempts to beat Cynthia. But you wanna know what's worse? Remember in the last entry when I said I didn't know how to save when I was younger? Yep, I didn't do that. But this time, whenever I lost, I had to go back through the Elite Four, and if I made it out of there alright, then I would have to rematch Cynthia and, let's face it, most likely lose. Cynthia's team is made up of some truly strong Pokemon like her Togekiss or Spiritomb. But the worst of the bunch for me was her Garchomp. You know, that Garchomp that always landed Dragon Rush. Yeah, that wasn't great. But as you could imagine, after losing so much and having to go through the Elite Four all the time, it got to the point where my Pokemon team was beating Cynthia's in level. I remember that I finally beat Cynthia when I was getting ready for school, and as soon as I beat her, I was probably really nice to everyone that day in school. Unless a stronger battle comes along in the future games, this will forever be the battle that was the most difficult for me. But anyway guys, that's pretty much for this video, so if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also, be sure to let me know what were some of the most difficult battles for you down in the comments. But with all that being said, for now, I've been PokéDan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.